It's Messi! It is the cleanest of clean finishes from the best on the planet.
It's time for the biggest sports stories.
Liverpool, the champions of Europe, are top of the world.
The biggest interviews.
That such a great spectacle is ruined by such thuggish behavior.
And all the analysis right here.
He's the one player that has the arrogance to think that he can play in any stadium in the world and any pitch in the world in front of any player in the world and take them on.
Every weekday, it's my sport, it's your sport. It's ZiFM Sport. Let's join the team for the biggest show in the world of sport on ZiFM Stereo. My station, your station.
A very good evening to you, Zimbabwe. What a strange year, and what we can say on today's show, what a strange weekend. Results that we didn't expect, and guess what? There's sport, competitive sport being played in Zimbabwe. So gonna make a crackerjack show. It's gonna go very quickly, so strap yourselves in. The team is here: Mike, Chris, Alois, our producer Sean. My name is Barry. On the home front, the National Premier League got underway yesterday, and Brendan Mavuta produced a man-of-the-match performance with the ball as Rainbow Sharks pulled off an impressive 4-wicket win over Gladiators at Harare Sports Club. In international sports news, Bridget Kosgei defended her title, while Eliud Kipchoge's reign as the king of the London Marathon came to a shock end as Shura Kitata emerged from the rain and the gloom to become the new champion.
And around the world in 60, we begin in France, where Dominic Thiem withstood a valiant fight back from world number 239, Hugo Gaston, to record a thrilling 5-set victory to reach the French Open quarterfinals. In South Africa, Springbok skipper Siya Kolisi was among the try scorers as Rassie Erasmus' green side defeated Jacques Nienaber's gold side at 25-9 at Newlands. And in the United States, Jimmy Butler posted the third 40-point triple-double in NBA Finals history to outduel LeBron James and lead the Miami Heat to a Game 3 win over the LA Lakers.
We'll then take a pit stop with our play of the day. Today is Manic Monday. What DJ Baz has got in the mix. And then we kick off the beautiful game. Today is the Castle World Football Report, which kicks off in the Premier League, where Aston Villa manager Dean Smith says new signings Ollie Watkins and Ross Barkley have added quality to his team after Villa stunned Premier League champions Liverpool 7-2 at Villa Park. In La Liga, Barcelona coach Ronald Koeman said his side was suffering from fatigue in last night's 1-1 draw at home to Sevilla after an eventful first week of competitive action. In Germany, Robert Lewandowski scored 4 times, including an injury time penalty, as Bayern Munich edged out Hertha Berlin in a 7-goal thriller, 4-3. And then we'll touch down in Italy. Serie A action, where the irrepressible, free-scoring Atalanta kept on their merry ways of scoring at least 4 goals in every game this season as they dispatched Cagliari 5-2 to maintain their 100% record. But first, as always, our power play. Now, Blackpink have just released their new album. It's called The Album. This is off that. It's called Lovesick Girls.
The Warriors, the Chevrons, the Cheetahs, the Mighty Warriors, and the Sables. From the pool to the track to the field, we are Team Zimbabwe. The Home Front. Local sports news and analysis.
Social media has changed the way that we communicate, and we certainly welcome it. At ZiFM Sport on all the platforms that you know and love, and in our individual capacities, it's at Mike Madoda, at Chris Midzi, at Gazaman14, that's Alois Bunjira, at Sean Tafirenyika, at Mark Pozzo, and at Barry Manandi. Let's get into it. On the home front today is cricket, and there's action, sporting action back in Zimbabwe, and it's of a cricketing variety. Now, the National Premier League got underway yesterday, and Brendan Mavuta produced a man-of-the-match performance with the ball as Rainbow Sharks pulled off an impressive 4-wicket win over Gladiators at Harare Sports Club. Mavuta and Daniel Jacquiel shared 8 wickets between themselves as Rainbow decimated the youthful Gladiators side for 131 runs in just 24.5 overs. So the scorecard from Harare Sports Club looking like this: Gladiators 131 all out and 24.5 overs. As we said, Wesley Madevere with a creditable 27, Shumba 21, Manyonga scoring 19, Brendan Mavuta doing most of the damage, 4 for 14. He ended with figures with the ball, and Jackie Hill taking 4 for 25. Victor Nyauchi taking 1 wicket for 31 runs. Then Rainbow 134 for 6 in 30.1 overs. Mzinganyama 32, Chirimuta 31, and Masunda 29. Chikua doing most of the damage for the Gladiators, 3 for 28, and then Munyonga taking 2 for 19, meaning that the Rainbow Sharks winning that match by 4 wickets. It's phenomenal to have action back in Zimbabwe. The sport has been on a hiatus for way too long. Competitive action now taking place in cricket. And Mike, I think we should give kudos to all of those that have worked so hard for us to have the action once again.
Yeah, absolutely, Barry. Phenomenal project. I think we spoke about it on Friday in the lead up to this weekend's action, that this is a good step taken by Zimbabwe Cricket just to make sure that we are broadening the base of selection for our franchises and ultimately for our national team by presenting opportunities to cricketers to be involved on the club cricket scene. So the match that you spoke about earlier, Gladiators and Rainbow. Gladiators, a very young team with the likes of Madevere, who we know, of course, has cut the mustard with the national team. He made 27, and other players, Shumba 21, and players of that ilk. We'll be looking to these players to perform a bit better than they did this past weekend. I think there was a lot of immaturity on show. You take a look at that score, 131 all out in 24.5 overs, Barry. 20 overs that they did not use up. So the approach was wrong from these youngsters. And what I love about the National Premier League is that they'll be able to learn from their mistakes in a less competitive environment, have plenty of opportunities to rectify those mistakes, change their approach to how they play the game, especially against superior opposition in matches to come.
And these Premier League competitions, league competitions in cricket, Chris, have been very beneficial to the entire cricketing ecosystem in other countries. We've seen how it's helped the Indian Premier League and indeed the Indian cricket as a whole. In Pakistan, the same. Australia, the Big Bash, they've all done well for them. Those are T20 competitions, but nonetheless, the concept remains the same. Game time and time in the middle is very essential, and the NPL gives our players that.
Definitely. I think we can even see it if you take a look at the scorecard that you read out there. If you take a look at that, you can see that there's, first of all, you've got your youngsters who are coming up as well. We've seen some of them with the national team. But I think when you see them again in competitions like this, I think we, first of all, as fans, get a really good appreciation of our players. That's one. And two, I think when it comes to national team selection now, there's a much broader base to select from. And obviously that continues in terms of our players getting national team exposure. We get to select the best of the best from this NPL. I think that what I just like to see more of is more exposure of it, because we have limited fans that are able to actually go out and watch some of these matches. What I'd like to just see is a lot more focus on the media side of things, get this a lot more exposure, get more people involved, and make sure that there's we're really maximizing on cricket there.
We've got them playing again, Barry, but we need to improve on the standard of cricket. Okay, so it's one thing to be playing cricket, but the standard, to be honest, has not been very high this past weekend. And we're hoping, because it was the first round of matches, that they're going to kick on and improve. So we got the numbers, but let's make sure now that we start refining the standard of play. We need guys who are really up there in order to be able to be putting their hand up and make themselves eligible for selection. So if you take a look at the match in which Gladiators lost to Rainbow, they lost by 4 wickets. It sounds a lot closer, but to be honest, this match, it was at a canter for Rainbow. And then there'll be other, of course, matches I think that you're going to talk about a bit later on, Barry, where the margins of victory were a bit high. Harare Kings thumping Patriots by 114 runs. I think Patriots bowled out for 98. Then you've got Queens. I think they were bowled out for 97 all out in 28 overs. So you've got scores of that nature that should be concerning, because the first thing we need to do is appreciate that our cricket is not at a really high enough level. And so when people start scoring primary school scores, Barry, that's what you and I used to score when I was at Sir John Kennedy. When we used to play Goldridge and we used to play Dudley Hall, Brighton, those are sort of the scores that we used to put up. Colts cricket. So we expect better, I think, from the standard of club cricketer that we've got on show in the National Premier League.
I just want to pick the brain of Alois Munjira before we run through those results there. Alois, we're talking about the developmental potential of this competition and how the youngsters can come through. Is it a bit of a concern for you that the top scorer this past weekend was Elton Chigumbura with 62, and none of the youngsters sort of getting close to those numbers? How do we remedy that? Do we send our best coaches to coach gladiators, which is the young side? How does the cricket union then mitigate against us seeing the same faces being flat track bullies in essence?
Yeah, I think this is a process that needs patient heads. We need to be patient. We spoke about it, that development was dead, so it needs to restart again. And we need to actually engage experts to actually start developing our players. We mustn't cry about the situation right now that Elton is outscoring the youngsters, because they haven't been developed yet. These youngsters for the past 5 years, they haven't been developed. So this is to be expected. But let's start at some point where we say in 3-4 years time, we want the youngsters that are coming in to be outscoring these older guys. So that's why we need patient heads and do development the proper way, so that we actually set a target that at such a time we want to produce such and such type of player that can actually do this. For now, I'm not surprised they're doing that.
Well said. They're patient heads, cool heads. Let's stick to it. Let's give you those other results. Harare Kings, 212 all out and 39.4 overs. They were taking on the Patriots. They bowled out the Patriots for 98, and therefore the Harare Kings winning that match by 114 runs. In other action, Queens were taking on Amakosi in a Bulawayo derby. Queens 97 all out and 28 overs. Amakosi 98 for the loss of 9 wickets in 36 overs. The Amakosi winning that match by 1 wicket. And then Ken Midwest was taking on Takashinga, and Midwest scoring 175 all out and 35.3 overs. Takashinga scoring 179 for the loss of 5 wickets in 32.3 overs. Elton Chigumbura top scoring with 62 runs, meaning that Takashinga, the team that Elton represents, winning by 5 wickets. NPL is here and hopefully here to stay.
Hi, my name is Sean Williams, Zimbabwe cricket captain. You're listening to ZiFM Sport. Z.
Right, let's take you around the local sports scene and keep you updated with what's happening there, starting with basketball, where Harare City Hornets ladies coach Andrew Chitauro. Okay. Gentleman coach for a ladies team, Chris. Surely you can't be happy about this.
Look, the thing is, the best and most qualified person should get the job. However, we should have a situation where if it's a women's team, we should have the best women's coaches coaching the women's team.
Yeah, absolutely.
So no, definitely not happy about this.
Okay, take 2. Harare City Hornets ladies coach Andrew Chitauro says he's itching to return to action with his unbeaten team, angling for a 3rd successive title. So he is a successful male coach coaching a women's team. The Harare Basketball League was halted in March with 5 rounds of fixtures left due to COVID-19. Chitauro's Chargers, who have won 2 titles since their promotion into the top tier, were yet to lose when the marathon was stopped. The Harare Basketball Association are hoping the National Association's application for permission to return to the courts will be granted. In motorsport news, after having missed out on riding in the South African motocross circuit for close to 7 months due to the coronavirus outbreak, Zimbabwe's junior champion rider Emmanuel Bako returned to the track in style. Bako won the 85cc Pro Mini class during the 7th round of the Inland Championship at Dirt Bronco in Krugersdorp on Saturday. The 14-year-old biker showed no signs of rustiness as he swept to victory on a brand new KTM 2021 bike after getting 2 whole shots in the 2 heats of the 85cc Pro Mini class, which had more than 15 riders. Bako last raced in South Africa in March.
And let's wrap it up with the news of a slightly concerning nature coming out of 53 Livingston Avenue. And the news is that Warriors gaffer Zdravko Logarisic may have to make do without a number of Europe-Day stars who are unable to heed his call for this weekend's friendly away in Malawi. Since the local premiership as well as leagues in Zambia and South Africa are still inactive, Logarisic was banking largely on Europe-based players, but it appears that for one reason or another, stars like Tinotenda Kadewere, Tendai Narikwa and Macaulay Bone, to mention but a few, may not be able to make the trip. Now be sure to catch ZiFM Sport tomorrow for a full breakdown of the Warriors squad for the friendly match versus Malawi.
Hi, this is Mike Madoda, and you can catch me and the team for all the latest breaking news out of the world of sport, local as well as international, on your favorite station, my station, your station, ZiFM. We are Z-Team on ZiFM Sport.
Z. From the front of the grid to the back of the net, it's ZiFM Sport. International Sports News Roundup, where the world comes out to play.
Continuing with the show here on ZiFM Sport, about to go international, but just a reminder that the second half of the show is the Castle Lager World Football Report, where no doubt you're waiting to find out how we'll call it. Manchester United and Liverpool at 6s and 7s. Now in the studio, Alois Bunjira, United, Chris, United, Barry Menande, Liverpool, myself, Liverpool, Mark Pozzo, Liverpool. The only guy who's smiling, Sean Tafirenyika, Arsenal, 3 points in the bag. But that's all to follow. Let's go to London, where there was some marathon running and Eliud Kipchoge's reign as the king of the London Marathon came to a shocking end as Shura Kitata emerged from the rain and gloom to become the new champion in a stunning upset. Kipchoge, who had won all of his previous 4 London marathons and had not closed over the distance in 7 years, dropped alarmingly off the pace around the 22-mile mark. He would eventually finish in 8th. But let's hear from the race winner, Shura Kitata.
He saved all the days. He keep himself in the backside and to attack immediately. When he out, he tried to push the paces more than before, and when the other did not flow him, he waited the last lap to beat the other.
Z.
Well, Barry, I think it's fair to say, pardon the pun, but Shura Kitata, agaita mashura kau.
Well said, Michael. And I was waiting for you to say that because it was, listen, in truth, Eliud Kipchoge has been so dominant. He's owned this race for a very long time. And in truth, nobody expected anything to change because he's still at the peak of his powers in essence. But for Shura to be able to do that in a race as significant as the London Marathon is certainly a feather in his cap. And Eliud Kipchoge himself was probably surprised.
Well, Kipchoge perhaps will look back and say, you know what, not the best of preparations. We all know what has been happening globally, Chris, over the last 6 months. So it can't have been easy. He also tweeted that his ear blocked and therefore that affected him throughout the race. So he's got a few excuses that he can lean on. And so people will probably be looking to the future to see if there is a pattern now of defeat that's going to develop.
Definitely, and one would doubt, given his past record and how well we know that he prepares. He prepares incredibly well for these races. Unfortunately, he couldn't do it for this race because of the coronavirus pandemic, but we know he prepares well. We know that once he's in a race, he's good to come out tops. So I think, yes, we can look at in the future for more of a pattern, but I doubt that we're going to be seeing that. I think his blocked ear, lack of preparation, I think that may have affected him quite a bit, but even finishing 8th is not a total shambles, but still, I think even when we look to the future, I think when it comes to Kipchoge, we can look at it positively and say that given his past, he'll be able to carry on, and for a little bit, he'll still be one of the top marathon runners.
Yeah, I'm with you, Chris. I'm sure we can all give Kipchoge a bit of a free pass after his defeat in London. Let's cross over to the women's side, and the winner was Bridget Koshke, the world record holder. She was the favorite for the race, and she managed to pip American Sarah Hall as well as Kenyan Ruth Chemgetich, who is the world champion in what was a very interesting race. Let's hear from her.
Due to Corona, we have not prepared well, and then weather affect us. There is some wind and there is rain all the way, so it makes us our muscles to be compact. So no body becoming warm, so it's difficult for us to finish. And then I try my best up to I finish good.
Barry, there was an interesting duel between Koshke, who eventually won the race, and Chemgetich, but from about 7 miles out, she went for it, and there was no chasing her down.
Yeah, and this one, listen, we will talk less about the surprises and more about the race strategy, and I think that the race strategy implemented by Bridget Koshke was absolutely spot on, because Chemgetich looked like she was going to walk it in the middle stages. It looked like she was pacing herself absolutely appropriately, but towards the latter stages, Bridget Koshke still had a lot in the tank and was able to then step it up a notch, and Chemgetich in truth didn't have enough in the tank to defend her lead, and so much so that it actually brought in Hall back into the thinking, Sarah Hall as well. So race strategy on behalf of Koshke, spot on. Chemgetich will be looking at the race strategy and thinking in future races she may want to look at that and change it.
Chris, how good was Sarah Hall? I mean, if you consider that at the halfway stage, there were only 2 runners in it, and that was Chemgetich as well as Koshke. She was more than a minute behind those 2 at the halfway stage, but she managed to claw her way back, and she eventually finished in second place. That was a race of real character from the American.
Definitely real character. If you're able to come back from that far down and actually manage to finish as well as she did, I think you show great character, determination as well. So incredible race for her.
Okay, and of course, if you are a stickler for detail, we'll let you in on some of the facts around the race. It had originally, of course, been scheduled to be run in April, but it was adapted this past weekend to 19.7 laps of St. James's Park rather than the traditional street route, and was restricted to elite runners only due to the coronavirus pandemic.
Hi, this is Alexandra Maseko, and I'm the national basketball team captain, and you're listening to ZiFM Sport.
Only DSTV brings you the very best football action. Catch all the action from the most popular league in the world, the English Premier League, with some of the world's biggest stars in Sadio Mane, Harry Kane, Sergio Aguero, and Virgil van Dijk. Catch all the action on the brand new SuperSport Premier League channel on channel 223. We have the world's best football, only on DSTV.
Around the world in 60 seconds. International sports news.
Around the World in 60 is proudly brought to you by DSTV. We'll take off in France, where Dominic Thiem withstood a valiant fight back from world number 239 Hugo Gaston to record a thrilling 5-set victory to reach the French Open quarterfinals. The US Open champion won 6-4, 6-4, 5-7, 3-6, 6-3 to avoid a remarkable upset, as French wildcard Gaston thrilled a sparse yet passionate home support under the roof on court Philippe Chatrier. On the ladies' side, teenager Iga Swiatek produced a stunning performance to knock out top seed and title favorite Simona Halep in the 4th round. The 19-year-old from Poland thumped 30 winners and outplayed Halep in all areas of the court to win 6-1, 6-2 in just an hour and 7 minutes. We head over to South Africa, where Springbok skipper Siya Kolisi was among the try scorers as Rassie Erasmus' green side defeated Jacques Nienaber's gold side 25-9 at Newlands. Played in an unusual national trial format, tries from Kolisi, uncapped back row Jano Augustus, and a penalty try in addition to 2 Elton Jantjies penalty and Cade Wilhut conversion completed the scoring for the Box Green. We'll touch down in the United States, where Jimmy Butler posted the third 40-point triple-double in NBA Finals history to outdraw LeBron James and lead Miami Heat to a Game 3 win over the LA Lakers. Butler took his game a step further early this morning, scoring 40 points to go with 13 assists and 11 rebounds as the short-handed Heat held off Lakers to 115-104 to win the Game 3 at the NBA bubble. Game 4 will take place in the early hours of Wednesday morning.
All the rivalry.
Here is Harry Kane for Tottenham. Oh, what a goal! A classic derby goal from Harry Kane. Catch him if you can.
All the stars.
Oh, back heels Liverpool 2 in front. Talk about impudence. Talk about improvisation. Talk about Sadio Mane.
And all the game-changing moments.
And Raheem Sterling rattles it home. And once more, City are in front in a trice.
All the updates from the Premier League on ZiFM Sport.
Well, I guess this is the moment that many people have been waiting for, the Castle Lager World Football Report. We are not going to waste your time. We are in England. And let's give you some of the results that don't really matter. Newcastle United 3-1 victors over Burnley. Leicester City thumped by West Ham United 3-0. Southampton victorious versus West Bromwich Albion 2-0. And Wolves doing the business versus Fulham 1-0. Now, before we get where you want us to get, and we know you want us to get to Manchester United and Liverpool, let's talk about Chelsea, Alois. They turned it on 4-0 versus Crystal Palace. Ben Chilwell, one of the new additions, playing at left back, scoring and assisting. Could this be a sign that perhaps Frank Lampard is beginning to get his pieces in order and Chelsea are turning a corner?
I wouldn't really call it turning a corner, Mike, because when I watched the performance, it was still not convincing. Yes, they scored 4 goals, 2 of them from the penalty spot here, but I still think that they are not yet in the top gear, that we can actually say that they've turned the corner and challenging for the championship. They still need to do more, but anyway, it's still early days. He still has a time to fine-tune his squad. Like we said earlier, he has got a good squad. He's got a good crop of players that he can actually turn into a championship winning team. He still has time. Let's wait and see. These are still early days, but not yet convinced.
Not yet convinced, but one side that continues to convince is Everton. James Rodriguez scoring twice, and of course always up there in the assist charts as well, wherever he plays, and he's now doing the business for Everton. They are top of the table after thrashing Brighton 4-2 at Goodison Park on Merseyside. Elsewhere at Elland Road, Marcelo Bielsa and Pep Guardiola were reunited as City and Leeds played out an entertaining 1-1 draw. Barry Bielsa, you could see that image that came out of him crouched on the touchline at the full-time whistle. This was a game that had intensity. This was a game that took a lot out of not just the players, but the coaches tactically.
Do you know what? If anyone wants to watch a tactical masterclass of football the way it's supposed to be played, I know it was a 1-1 draw, but if you didn't watch the game, you missed out on an absolute thriller. It was end-to-end stuff. It was open at times. It was tactical. It was cagey. It had everything. And in truth, it was the real battle between a mentor and the mentee.
Okay, and the result that's put a big smile on Sean's face. Arsenal winning 2-1 at Sheffield United. Second half goals from Bukayo Saka as well as Nicolas Pepe in the space of 190 seconds. Enough to see them over the line at the Emirates. So 3 points for Mikel Arteta, and then it continued a good weekend for North London because Tottenham, they were imperious at Old Trafford, inflicting a humiliating 6-1 defeat of a 10-man Manchester United as Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's side imploded at Old Trafford. Let's hear from the victorious Jose Mourinho.
First of all, Man United doesn't lose many matches historically at Old Trafford, and secondly, to lose by 6, of course, is not every day. So, yeah, historical victory, but in the end, 3 points, and 3 very important points, because we lost 5 points at home, one defeat and one draw, and we managed to win the 6 points away. That keep us in a good position in the table. We prepare ourselves very well, tactically, I think also psychologically. The team was ready. So ready that a penalty on the first minute and be losing immediately 1-0 after 1 minute didn't affect the team at all. And I can imagine that some people can say we play against 10 men for a long time, which is obviously true. But for me, it's also true that 11 against 11, we were playing extremely well. We were creating huge problems. We were winning 2-1, and they couldn't find solutions to control us. So I think it was really a very, very strong performance.
Chris, again, for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, a performance nowhere near good enough.
Nowhere near good enough is being really kind, because I don't think I've ever seen Manchester United defeated at home like they were yesterday. It was an absolutely horrible performance. For Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, I think he's going to need to take a very long, hard look in the mirror, because first of all, you're at home. That's one thing. Another thing is that you're playing a side that everyone before the match had pretty much said, you know what, you're neck and neck with this team. They've been playing pretty much the same. They haven't been getting great results either. So it wasn't like this was a significantly better side. So look, from about the 30-minute mark, definitely you could tell that this Tottenham had this in the bag. United gave up, and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer did absolutely nothing to rescue the situation.
And Manchester United suffering their joint heaviest defeat in the Premier League, losing by 5 goals for the 4th time in the competition and for the first time since October 2011 versus Manchester City. Now they have lost their first 2 home games of the league campaign for just the 5th time in the club's history. Alois, this is a situation that must concern you.
Yeah, I'm definitely concerned, Mike. Like Chris said, I've never seen Manchester United play so disjointedly. It was a disjointed performance. We spoke about the defense, and they proved us right. There is no defense to talk about in that team. They can't even pass the ball around. They try to do it. Sometimes they watch Manchester City starting from the back, playing from the back, and they want to do the same. You don't have the quality, you can't do it. Those guys can't pass the ball around. They don't have the technical ability. They try to do it, and oh my God, what a horrible atmosphere it was. At Old Trafford, and we saw the team performing at the worst. And you couldn't even tell where we are going, what was happening. Never mind the red card. People might want to hide behind the red card, but I've seen 10-man squads winning matches. I've seen 10-man squads reorganizing and setting themselves up and performing. Manchester United, I'm sorry, I don't see where they're going. I don't see where we are going, and it's really bad. That defense, the worst defense in the league.
Now, Barry, there's a temptation for us maybe to carry on talking about Manchester United. But let's not forget the victors on the night, and that was Tottenham Hotspur, led by Jose Mourinho, and he enjoyed that victory. This is the place where he was ushered out of the door, and his job given to someone else. He's come back and he's conquered at Old Trafford. And surely you take a look at Tottenham, the last 2 or 3 performances, they indicate a side that's going places.
Absolutely. And, he's made some subtle tweaks. I'm not sure if everyone has realized the tweaks that he's made. He's made the midfield a lot more attritional. Sissoko was always a very hard player, but I think he's got a bit more grit and bite about him. And I think the most subtle adjustment he's made that has worked is that of Harry Kane dropping and playing between the lines. He's playing more like a number 10, more so than the out-and-out striker. And if you look at his assists record, it's showing that Harry Kane has remodeled his game, and it's working. So kudos to Jose Mourinho. Phenomenal job there.
And of course, Harry Kane has been directly involved in 9 goals in the Premier League this season.
There we go.
He scored 3, and he's now got 6 assists. Now, Manchester United's pain was to be somewhat alleviated later on that evening, because their arch rivals Liverpool, who had been smirking, who had been chiding them, me included, on social media, well, they came down to earth courtesy of Aston Villa, victorious 7-2 at Villa Park over the champions. Ollie Watkins and Ross Barkley, they were phenomenal, and their manager Dean Smith, is talking them up. He says that they have added the much needed quality to his team that staved off relegation on the final day last season.
No, they certainly haven't. Liverpool have got a great record at Villa Park, unfortunately. One of my first games was in 77, I think, or 76, when we won 5-0, and it was 5-0 at half-time. But never dreamed of getting a result like this today. Performance was outstanding from start to finish, and we've created an awful lot of chances against an exceptional defence and team. Had to work very, very hard, but I said we've carried on that momentum from the end of last season, but we've added quality to that. And people questioned Ollie Watkins' price. That's probably treble now.
And Chris, a phenomenal performance, especially from Ollie Watkins, a hat-trick versus Liverpool in a thumping 7-2 victory. You've got to say that the young man has shown, that if people are able to create opportunities for him, he's able to finish them off. He's almost guaranteeing the goals that Villa lacked last season.
Definitely. You can see a very distinct difference between Aston Villa before and after Ollie Watkins. I think he's done a great job of, like you said, those finishes, but also in terms of assists, I think he also manages to, first of all, like last night, run the defense ragged. He was making light work of Virgil van Dijk. And I think that just shows you the kind of player that he is, a new player to the team and still so confident and able to deliver the way that Aston Villa need him to.
And Alois, you've got to say that the additions of quality players like Watkins, like Ross Barkley, that's now taken off the pressure from Jack Grealish. He doesn't have to be the one who's doing everything. He doesn't have to be the focus and the fulcrum of the team.
Yeah, that's the hallmark of a very good coach, Mike, when you are able to identify your weaknesses and patch them. He realized that last season they didn't have a goal scorer. That Tanzania boy, yes, he was just there. I don't know how they got to sign him. Anyway, yeah, he was just running around. But now they have actually added quality. Watkins is quality. Ross Barkley, he makes them play. Don't laugh, baby. Yes. Yeah, but it's true. You could actually see the quality. The coach is talking about quality. You could actually see the quality yesterday. Ross Barkley could also have scored a little bit, even two more goals. And Watkins was running around. Quality player, not just he scored 3 goals, he was actually contributing, making runs, distributing the balls. He was quality as well. So I actually think that's what the coach needed the most last season. We can actually say, forgive me for saying that Dean is not a good coach. I saw yesterday Aston Villa playing with so much intensity, with so much quality. It can only be the coach, who has turned the team around. And all marks to Dean Smith, guys, because the way I saw Aston Villa playing is the coach. I've said it. If you want to match Liverpool, if you want to play against Liverpool, match them for intensity. And they've got that intensity. And with quality and intensity, you can only get something.
Barry, let's talk about Liverpool here. It was a humiliating night, wasn't it?
Very humiliating, humbling. I think everyone in the Liverpool institution came crashing down to earth. And in truth, on social media, guys, you don't need to remind us. We all know. So we don't need the messages coming from the likes of Shingimnyes, Dr. Gideon Gono, Nigel, Mike, Max Karombo, myself will never walk alone.
And a quick one, Barry. With just a few hours left in the transfer window, I take a look at Adrian. He's made 5 errors directly leading to opposition goals in his 21 appearances. Do you think that this is an area that Klopp and Michael Edwards are looking at in these last few hours before the transfer window closes?
If they can fish out a goalkeeper, I've heard rumours about Gazzaniga coming in from Tottenham. I think that would be a good buy. I think Adrian, after that Champions League ouster by Atletico Madrid, that was forgiven. But I think last night certainly showed that he's not good enough. Perhaps it's the law of diminishing returns. He is a bit long in the tooth. Look, let's get rid of him and get a better keeper in.
You certainly won't be Chris's pick for Star of the Week, will he? Who's your star performer in the Premier League?
This is an easy one. Ollie Watkins, new buy from Brentford, hat-trick and an assist. He made Virgil look a little bit like a baby giraffe there. So That goes to him.
As is Van Dijk or Van Chogga. And let's give you an update
on Michael.
We do have a Z Fantasy League that's happening, of course, and our top 3 performers, the ones that you are chasing and you have to catch. In first place, Bomba Rovers, managed by Austin Chirume at 312 points. 1 point behind is Chauya Chipembere, managed by David Stone. And in third, Chele Chele, managed by Clive Runganga, 295 points.
From Rufaro to Barberfield, Mandava to Nyamunga, all the perfect moments in the Castle Lager Premier Soccer League come together on ZiFM Sport.
There was lots of action in La Liga this weekend. Your weekend results are as follows. Real Madrid and Aiba drawing 1-1. Atletico Madrid and Villarreal, no goals scored there, 0-0. Elche and Huesca, also no goals, 0-0. Real Sociedad versus Getafe, that was a 3-0 win for Real Sociedad. And goals from Vinicius Jr. and Karim Benzema, plus some top-class saves from Thibaut Courtois, gave Real Madrid a 2-0 win at Levante for a third consecutive victory. Alois, Real Madrid coming on 3 points every single weekend. This is how they need to do it to continue to finish out the season.
Exactly, that's exactly how they won the league last season as well. They started strongly and they've started strongly again this time around. I'm a Madrid star, I support the team and I'm happy with the performance so far. I'm happy with Karim Benzema. You know, Karim Benzema was not my favorite friend when he was playing under Cristiano Ronaldo. But since CR7 left, he has taken over and he's doing well. Well done to him, and I see Real Madrid finishing strongly. They might just retain the league championship this season again.
Too soon to tell, but we'll be taking bets. Valencia going down against Real Betis 2-0. Osasuna 2-0 victors over Celta Vigo. Alaves 1-0 against Athletic Club. And Cadiz and Granada drawing 1-1. Barcelona and Sevilla, what a game. Hard fought 1-1 draw at the Camp Nou last night. The two sides traded goals inside the first 10 minutes, with Luke de Jong striking for Sevilla ahead of Philippe Coutinho's equalizer for Barcelona, which of course brings us to the star of the week. Barry, who do you pick for La Liga?
It's out of that game that you've just mentioned, actually, because it was a hugely entertaining game. I think Sevilla has come a long way under Julian Lopetegui. He himself has redeemed himself, but my star of the week is going to be Jesus Navas. He was marking a man half his age, literally half his age, in Ansu Fati. And everybody thought because Ansu Fati is at the peak of his powers right now, he's all the rage. He would have the wool over the older statesman. And in truth, Jesus Navas won that individual battle. So for me, out of Sevilla, Jesus Navas is my star of the week out of La Liga.
Getting into Germany now with your weekend results on the Bundesliga. Union Berlin, fantastic 4-0 victory over Mainz. Frankfurt victorious over Hoffenheim 2-1. Borussia Mönchengladbach winning on the road to Cologne 3-1. Werder Bremen 1-0 victors over Bielefeld. Wolfsburg and Augsburg playing out a goalless draw, and then Leipzig thumping Schalke 4-0. Elsewhere, Patrick Schick scored his first goal for Bayer Leverkusen, but Sasa Kalajdzic continued his scoring run as Stuttgart fought back to force a 1-1 draw. Chris, I'm a bit concerned with Leverkusen. They lost the prodigious talents of Kai Havertz to Chelsea, and they're going to have to plug that hole if they're to qualify for the Champions League. Right now, it's looking a bit shaky.
Definitely. They're missing goals at the moment. They're edging through games like this 1-1 draw. So they definitely need to plug that hole, and to plug it quickly if they're going to be able to compete in the Champions League.
The two favorites all won. Borussia Dortmund making it easy versus Freiburg 4-0 in front of 11,000 fans at the Westfalenstadion. Haaland scoring twice and Giovanni Reina with 3 assists in that game. A good outing for the young American. Bayern Munich's Robert Lewandowski scored 4 goals in a very challenging match for the German champions. 4-3 victors. They came out in added time versus Hertha Berlin. It was a pulsating game at the Allianz Arena last night. Alois Munjira, lots of exciting games, lots of exciting goals in the Bundesliga. Who caught your eye?
Yeah, German Bundesliga is exciting, and we saw fans as well in the stands. It was actually refreshing. But hey, Great performances. I was torn between Erling Haaland and Lewandowski. Erling Haaland scoring a double and assisting very immaculately. But in the end, I will have to go for Lewandowski. 4 goals in a tough match against Hertha Berlin. And he is actually my star of the week because he scores goals with aplomb. Well done, Lewandowski, my player of the year, FIFA player of the year. If there was Ballon d'Or, he was going to take it.
Alcohol may be hazardous to health if consumed to excess. The operation of machinery or driving after the consumption of alcohol is not advisable. Not for sale to persons under the age of 18 years.
Castle Lager is more than just beer. It's pure liquid gold, crafted from the finest local ingredients to deliver a taste that is somewhat dry, somewhat bitter, but never sweet. It's the taste that stood the test of time. It all comes together with a castle.
In Italy, Serie A, your results from the weekend. Sampdoria winning on the road to Fiorentina, winning that match 2-1. Benevento 1-0 over Bologna. Parma and Hellas Verona playing out a 1-1 draw. Sassuolo 4-1 over Crotone. And then Roma 1-0 winners over Udinese. Ciro Immobile and Stefano Sensi seeing red in that match between Inter and Lazio. It ending in an ill-tempered 1-1 draw. But I think all the talk today, Chris, is about the Napoli no-show. Napoli, who had a few COVID-19 positive tests, didn't travel to Juventus Stadium. Juventus themselves had arrived for the game and then realized no opponents. No opposition. So that's a tough one. At this stage, we might have our first walkover in international football for a very long time.
Definitely. Look, I suppose when it comes to safety precautions, all of those rounds of tests that they do just before the match, we're going to be seeing a few situations like this. This is the first of its kind, obviously, that we've seen in European football. But I think there will be a few more going forward just because of the nature of the coronavirus and the rigorous tests that they do.
So Juventus are likely to be named 3-0 winners in that match, courtesy of that walkover. Nonetheless, Atalanta keep going, great guns. They've got a record of scoring at least 4 goals in every game this season, and they dispatched Cagliari 5-2 on Sunday to maintain their 100% record in Serie A. Congratulations to them. Mikey, remains for us to ask you, who's the star of the week in Italy?
Barry, Atalanta certainly playing well. They're thrilling, they're entertaining, they're scoring fun, just like they did last season. And you and I know that if any side is playing well, there must be players in that team that are driving the team to those exceptional performances. And I look no further than Alejandro Gomez. He's the guy who's been pulling strings. He's been dictating the tempo, especially in that dismantling of Cagliari. Could have been worse. 5-2 was actually quite modest in terms of the return they got after 90 minutes. He scored a goal and he made everyone else look good. Definitely the standout player in Serie A this past weekend.
Mike choosing Alejandro Gomez, also because it's a very nice name to say, Alejandro.
Yes,
it's been nice breathing. It's been fantastic bringing the show to you here on Manic Monday. It's been absolutely manic. What a weekend of sport. But let me tell you what, I'm done with 2020, guys. Bring on 2021. But before that, we have to do Tuesday, which is tomorrow. So don't miss the show. May God richly bless you. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Manandi, out.
And it's Messi! It is the cleanest of clean finishes from the best on the planet.
The biggest sports stories.
Liverpool, the champions of Europe, are top of the world.
The biggest interviews.
That such a great spectacle is ruined by such thuggish behavior.
And all the analysis right here.
He's the one player that has the arrogance to think that he can play in any stadium in the world and any pitch in the world in front of any player in the world and take them on.
Every weekday, it's my sport, it's your sport. It's ZiFM Sport on ZiFM Stereo. My station, your station.